Back in late July, a career intelligence officer testified to a congressional committee about a sensational cover-up. The witness claimed to have evidence of UFO crashes and of programs designed to exploit that technology.
Stories about crashed saucers and cover-ups have been around since the end of World War II, but are now being taken seriously. In Washington, 8 News Now chief investigative reporter George Knapp reviews now the origins of these claims.
When former intelligence officer David Grush testified last July about non-human craft hidden away for decades inside special access programs, it caught some members of Congress and major media off guard. But the lore of crashed saucers and dead aliens is hardly new. The claims have leaked out many times in the past 76 years.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
This happened on July 8th, 1947.
The granddaddy of crash saucer tales is Roswell. The story didn't emanate with UFO nuts. It came from the U.S. military. In 1947, Roswell was home to the world's only atomic bomber wing. That summer, a long stretch of strange debris was discovered on a ranch outside of town. The U.S. Army Air Force issued a news release that made headlines. The Army had recovered a crashed disc. 24 hours later, the Army retracted its claim and said it was merely a weather balloon. Mangled bits of flimsy debris were shown to reporters.
But 42 years ago, this is where it all began.
In 1989, our first visit to Roswell, we found the retired Army officer who wrote both releases.
He called and said words to this effect: "We've got pieces of what we think is a flying saucer."
Walter Haut stuck to the official story until the day he died, but left a sworn posthumous statement admitting he'd been ordered to lie, that the recovered craft had been of alien origin, and that small bodies of the pilots had also been recovered by the Army. The story has been backed up by dozens of other witnesses. The U.S. military has changed tunes multiple times in the decades since, later saying the object recovered wasn't a mere weather balloon, but a highly classified spy balloon, and the bodies were mannequins dropped years later. The Air Force declared the case closed in the 1990s, but it hasn't gone away. Roswell wasn't the earliest crash tale. Famed astrophysicist Dr. Jacques Vallée, who worked as a consultant to the Air Force Project Blue Book, told us in 2021 that the very first atomic blast, the Trinity test, caused the crash of a 5-ton avocado-shaped spacecraft.
It didn't blow up into pieces the way an airplane would have. It was apparently very strong. The tower was bent, but the object kept going. It came to the ground, and it plowed an avenue all the way down the hill. They made a turn, apparently under power, and stopped against a bump in the terrain. The kids saw that. Now, remember, this was 1945, August 1945, 2 years before Roswell. There was no concept of flying saucers.
Intelligence officer David Grush told Congress there might have been an even earlier crash in Mussolini-era Italy. The strange materials recovered were reportedly stashed inside the Vatican. Nevada's connection to alleged UFO crash retrievals was merely whispered for decades, until the late 80s, when a former government scientist unleashed explosive allegations about a string of secret hangars built into the side of a mountain near the mysterious Area 51 base.
Well, there's several, actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs.
The identity of the witness was later revealed in our reports. Bob Lazar's claims remain controversial to this day, but the allegations are now permanently etched into the minds of the public. George Knapp, 8 News Now.